The little girl's voice was so soft it could have been carried away by the morning breeze, yet it struck her father's heart like thunder. In the middle of a crowded street, beneath the golden light of a rising sun, she looked up at a passing luxury car, her tiny fingers gripping his worn sleeve, and whispered words that would change both their lives forever. "Dad, I want you to marry her. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the magic of unexpected moments, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Verse. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most." Ryan Qureshi had never imagined his life would narrow down to a single fragile thread of survival. Once a hopeful young man with dreams of opening his own workshop, he now spent his days fixing broken bicycles and worn-out appliances under a faded tarp by the roadside. His hands were always rough, his clothes always slightly stained, and his eyes always carried the quiet exhaustion of someone who had lost more than he could ever explain. But every morning, no matter how tired he felt, he would wake up before sunrise, gently brush the hair away from his daughter's face, and smile as if the world had never been cruel to him at all. His daughter, Meher, was the only light he had left after losing his wife to illness years ago. She was 6 years old, curious, kind, and far too understanding for her age. She never complained about their small rented room or the nights when dinner was just tea and bread. Instead, she would sit beside him, humming softly, as if her presence alone could mend his broken spirit. That morning had begun like any other, with the city slowly waking up and the streets filling with noise. Ryan had taken Meher along because her school was closed for the day. She skipped beside him, her laughter blending with the chirping of birds, her innocence untouched by the hardships that surrounded them. And then it happened. A sleek black car rolled to a stop at the traffic light nearby. Its polished surface reflected the sunlight so brightly that Meher's eyes widened in awe. The window slid down, revealing a woman whose presence seemed almost unreal. She was elegant, composed, and carried an air of quiet strength that made people turn their heads without even realizing it. Meher stared at her, completely captivated. There was something in that woman's calm expression, something warm hidden beneath her poised exterior, that felt familiar in a way the child could not explain. And in that moment, without hesitation, she whispered those unexpected words to her father. Ryan froze. At first, he thought he had misheard her. He followed her gaze, noticing the woman in the car, and immediately felt a strange discomfort. People like her belonged to a different world, a world of glass buildings and effortless confidence. People like him simply existed on the edges of it, invisible and forgotten. He gently squeezed Meher's hand, trying to brush off the moment, but her eyes remained fixed on the woman, filled with a quiet certainty that unsettled him. The car drove away, leaving behind nothing but a faint echo of something neither of them could quite understand. The rest of the day felt different. Ryan found himself distracted, his thoughts returning again and again to Meher's words. It wasn't just what she had said, but how she had said it, as if she had seen something deeper than appearances, something he had been too afraid to even imagine. Days passed, but the memory lingered. Then, unexpectedly, fate brought them face to face again. A week later, while repairing a broken scooter outside a corporate building, Ryan noticed a familiar figure stepping out of the same black car. It was her. The woman from that morning. This time, she walked with purpose, her heels clicking softly against the pavement, her presence commanding attention without effort. But something unusual happened. As she passed by, her gaze shifted toward him. Not in the dismissive way he was used to, but with genuine curiosity. Her eyes briefly met his, and in that fleeting moment, there was no judgment, no distance, just a quiet acknowledgement. It was enough to shake him. Her name, he would later learn, was Ariba Khan. A successful CEO who had built her company from the ground up, admired for her intelligence and resilience. Yet beneath her success was a story of loneliness, of sacrifices made and relationships lost along the way. Their worlds collided in the most unexpected way when Meher, bold in her innocence, ran up to Ariba the next day when she saw her again. There was no hesitation, no fear, only pure honesty in the child's heart. Ryan's breath caught as he watched from a distance, unsure of what would happen. But instead of reacting with annoyance or indifference, Ariba knelt down to Meher's level, listening to her with a softness that seemed completely at odds with her powerful image. From that moment, something began to change. What started as brief encounters turned into longer conversations. Ariba found herself drawn to Meher's warmth and Ryan's quiet dignity. Ryan, on the other hand, struggled with his own insecurities, constantly questioning why someone like her would even take an interest in their lives. But kindness has a way of breaking down walls. Ariba began visiting more often, sometimes bringing small gifts for Meher, sometimes just sitting nearby while Ryan worked. She never made him feel small, never treated him as less than her equal. Instead, she listened to his ideas, encouraged his skills, and slowly helped him see his own worth again. For Meher, it was simple. She saw two people who needed each other, even if they didn't realize it yet. The turning point came on a bright afternoon when Ariba surprised them with an opportunity. She offered Ryan a chance to manage a small repair unit within her company's logistics division. It wasn't charity, it was recognition of his talent, something he had long been denied. Ryan hesitated. Fear held him back, the fear of failing, of not belonging, of stepping into a world he had never known. But when he looked at Meher, saw the hope in her eyes, he realized he couldn't keep living in the shadows of his past. He said yes. What followed was not easy. There were challenges, doubts, and moments when Ryan felt overwhelmed. But with Ariba's support and Meher's unwavering belief, he began to rebuild his life piece by piece. And somewhere along the way, something deeper grew between him and Ariba. It wasn't sudden or dramatic. It was quiet, steady, and real. Built on mutual respect, shared struggles, and the understanding that both of them had been searching for something they couldn't name. A year later, on another golden morning, Ryan stood in a place he once thought he would never belong. Not because of wealth or status, but because of the life he had built, the confidence he had regained, and the love that had found its way back into his heart. Meher stood between them, her small hands holding theirs, her smile brighter than the sun. Sometimes, the purest truths come from the smallest voices. And sometimes, all it takes is a single whisper to change everything. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and comment. Your engagement helps spread stories of hope and kindness to others who might need them today.